Don't matter what he did, he was the MVP tonight.
So the Wolves have now won 6 straight games against the Nuggets, including the playoffs. And besides last night, they've not really been close. Minnesota winning by almost 18 points a game. There are nights when it's hard to fall asleep. This is why we love the NBA. Let's start with the Stars, Perk. A huge night here from Nikola Jokic and a 60-point triple-double.
And just a simple reminder that of his greatness, but also when we talk about the MVP conversation, that's beneath him. When we talk about the best player in the world conversation, that's beneath him. It's time to have different conversations about Jokic. He's already a top 20 greatest player of all time. Now you start to ask, where do he rank for as top centers?
Is that a knock-knock?
Knocking at the door at number 5. Knocking at the door at number 5. I don't have him there yet, DG, because I feel like he needs one more championship to get into that top 5, because you have guys like, Kareem. You have guys like Bill Russell, Shaq. But what he's doing right now this year, what he did last night, was a reminder that it's time to have different conversations about him outside of MVP and best player in the league. He's done that for the last 3 years.
Definitely. It's a shame that he still might not win MVP because his team's standing. But the numbers, the historic season he's had, we've seen LeBron James, he could have won it multiple times. We've seen Kobe should have gotten it a couple times. Many other guys should have gotten it. He's in the conversation with those guys that are the greatest ever, lace him up. And he should be getting his flowers, rightfully so. It's just sad to see that he's able to close out these wins with having these type of performances and his team not being higher in the standing.
But what's cool is when you're able to see 2 players go toe-to-toe. It wasn't a 60-point triple-double, but Anthony Edwards, it was a slow burn, but he really got to go in there in the 4th and overtime. What did you see on his side?
Yeah, no, he picked it up. That's what he's supposed to do. He's a star. He showed up. I mean, Julius Randle's been playing really well also, but he found his rhythm, got to the spots, not only made shots, but he made plays. He found the guys when they doubled. He got to the free throw line some, but he started knocking down his threes. Sometimes eventually a star is going to get hot. You take enough shots, stay aggressive. I loved his aggressiveness. I love that he loved to take over. I still want to see him take it up just a little bit of a notch in that overtime situation where he could have been more aggressive, but he did everything he was supposed to do as a superstar player.
This was the game of the year, right, Perk?
Yeah, I think it topped the Cleveland OKC game.
That one was pretty good, but it was right up there. These are the nights that it's like you're already looking forward to coming into the show the next day to be able to dissect every angle of this game. But even though last night it was the game of the year, it didn't come without some mistakes from both sides. Here's what Chris Finch had to say about Anthony Edwards being double-teamed late and the Wolves' late-game execution.
He knew it was coming, and getting off of it, I thought we'd get an advantage. I thought Julius maybe should have just let it fly on the first one, and then he kind of sidestepped. But then the one in the post in double overtime, the slip was going to be there. But yeah, Ant gave it up, and he's making the right play there.
I feel awful for us. That last play, we get the turnover, we don't convert, and then the foul. But it was not from a lack of effort or care. And sometimes it goes like that.
Listen, emotion make you cry sometimes, damn it. But last night was a brawl for it all. I got my boy DG up here. Combined, we got a whole lot of championships, a whole lot of finals experience. We got to talk about some of the things that we saw last night on the bad side of things. I'm going to let DG talk about Minnesota, Anthony Edwards, which he highlighted minutes ago, about how he could have been more aggressive.
Yeah, this is a situation, first time, 112 tied up. The first double team, you don't expect to come in. They try to set a horns action. Julius Randle, okay, I'll live with him taking a shot. Didn't hit the rim, but he got a decent look. Same scenario right here. Tied up, 7 seconds. You know the double team's coming. At this point, you got to know, Anthony Edwards, you got to find a counter to make sure you get the last shot. Double team comes again. He could have been way more aggressive in this situation. Just let it happen. Found his guys. They get Nickeil Alexander-Walker for the one dribble pull-up. Another shot that does not hit the rim. He's not happy with the situation. I put a lot of this on Finch and not finding counter moves to get Anthony Edwards and put him in the right positions to not get double teamed. Like you said, that nail area is where you kind of want to get him. You put him in a bad spot here. Another situation in the corner where they get a double. Next you know, turnover. Throws the ball away to Russell Westbrook. Perk, tell me what happens in this situation. It's hard for me to watch this.
Well, what happened is this, okay? One, Russ got to make that layup. That's a second-grade layup right there, like textbook transition 2-on-1, and now all of a sudden you're in transition, right? So now you're trying to find man. You see guys are scrambling, and Russ, the competitive guy that he is, he closed out on the shooter, and then unfortunately he fouls him, and now all of a sudden Alexander Walker goes to the line, knocked down 3 free throws, and the rest is history. But let me tell you something about this man right here. I see the internet going crazy and blaming Russ about the loss. Yes, could he have made the layup? Absolutely. But the foul, that's just the competitive nature. He's a future Hall of Famer. By the way, he's done more this season for the Denver Nuggets on the good side of things to have them, number 3 in the Western Conference than he has on the bad side. I know we saw a historic night from Jokic last night. I know they wanted to get the win for him. But at the end of the day, man, let's not disrespect this man too much from the competitive side of things, the way he competes night in and night out. I'm pretty sure Russell Westbrook lost sleep last night behind that game.
Yeah, there was definitely some frustrations. You saw Aaron Gordon leaving the floor even before the game ended, and there's surely some things the Nuggets would like to do differently the next time they face the Wolves, again, maybe in the postseason. That had to be Steph Curry's feeling back in December, the last time the Warriors played the Grizzlies, and he didn't have a field goal. You do not want to be...
That was the first 2 threes of the fourth quarter. I definitely was thinking about Clay in Chicago. This is as close as I've been with the amount of time left. But then after that, reality check. We got to win the game, so we don't want to sabotage anything.
And, of course, you know something's going on when you see Steph Curry highlights all over. Perk and I were filming something late last night here in studio, and all of a sudden we started getting these notifications. I said, Perk, we got to turn this on. My favorite was the Vince Carter meme, though, you see there. And then here now we can take some stock of the standings after those incredible games last night. The Warriors, they switched places with the Grizzlies. They moved into 5th. So, yes, that is right. They would take on the Lakers if the season ended today. Huge, though, that they got a tiebreaker with that win. Expect plenty more movement with just 1 game separating those 5 and 8 seeds. Perk, what does this win mean for Golden State?
Most impressive win of the season for Golden State since Jimmy arrived. I've been asking for that signature win. They went down there in Memphis and got it. And we know it's some beef and tension between Golden State and Memphis.
John Morant has straight up said, I don't like the Lakers. And I think he feels
and they boo Draymond in there, right?
Yeah.
And so
for good reason.
You think about Memphis too. They were like they needed a win. They were competing. John Morant had one of his best games in weeks, and all of a sudden Steph Curry, Jimmy Butler, both along with the Warriors have that one moment like, okay, yeah. They got that it factor.
I mean, Memphis said they've been Golden State's been whooping that trick for a while now. But speaking of Jimmy, he just gives so much different looks for them. Another dynamic. As you've seen in some of those clips, they're doubling Jimmy. I'm like, how can you double Jimmy when Steph Curry's on the floor? When he has a mismatch in the post, he's one of those guys that brings a different, like he can get to the free throw line, he can do different things, but he's another guy that can draw a double team. And when you got a guy that can draw a double team, you have Steph Curry on the floor, and of course you get open the floor for Moses Moody and other guys like Podziemski to knock down threes. It makes the game that much easier. Free throw differential, which won this game for them, Jimmy, they were 28 for 28, and Jimmy's a big part of that.
They found a starting lineup. I know Steve Kerr loves to tinker with the lineup, but this starting lineup they have found something with when it's Curry, Green, Moody, Podziemski, Butler, they're 12 and the worst allowed by the Suns in their franchise's history. So with the Suns slipping in the standings, Kevin Durant still sidelined, there's a bigger question looming here. Could Phoenix actually move on from Durant this summer? It's a good thing Shams Charania is here with us. Shams, what are you hearing about KD's future and how it could tie into the playoff picture here?
Malika, Matt Ishbia, the Suns owner, has shown already in his ownership that he's aggressive. He's willing to make moves. He's going to make a million swings as Suns owner. But this iteration of Kevin Durant, Bradley Beal, Devin Booker just has not worked. And so roster-wise, the changes that are likely coming to Phoenix likely start with Kevin Durant. And who out there in the NBA believes they're a Kevin Durant away? I think the playoffs are going to play a big factor in which team gets eliminated early, which team might feel like if they bring in KD, they could be a step away. And unlike the NBA trade deadline, the Suns and Kevin Durant will be working together, from my understanding, on any potential trade this summer. He has 1 year left on his deal. That's going to play a big factor. But Malika, one thing to keep in mind, back at the NBA trade deadline in February, Minnesota, Miami, New York, San Antonio, and Houston were among the teams. I'm told there was mutual interest between Durant and those teams. I expect those teams and potentially others to be back in the fray this summer.
5 suitors here potentially for Kevin Durant. Of course, this is still a chapter that's being written, his final one in Phoenix. We will certainly be keeping an eye on this. Shams, thank you so much for stopping by NBA Today. And happy belated birthday, my friend.
Thank you.
So we heard a whole lot of interesting stuff there, but with games coming up at the Celtics, the Knicks, the Suns have just a 19% chance to reach the play-in and a 2% chance to make the playoffs. All of this according to ESPN analytics. Phoenix trails Sacramento by a game and a half for that final play-in spot. And Perk, we just heard Shams say a lot of this does depend on how everything shakes out over the next couple of months. He's not gone yet, but of the teams that we just heard, is there one that you like the fit most for KD?
You damn right. Bun B, Trader Truth, Steph Thug, All Wall. Hey, y'all get ready. H-Town.
Okay.
H-Town. They have the most attractive pieces, right? When you think about the young core that they have Jalen Green, they have a Tari Eason, they have a Jabari Smith, right? And you can package up those guys and get a Kevin Durant in there to pair alongside Alfred Şengün, Dylan Brooks, Fred VanVleet. Now you have that closer, because what's going to happen this postseason is that the Rockets, and it's not a slight to them, it's because of their youth, they're going to get exposed this postseason for not having that guy to take them home. Yeah. Kevin Durant comes in and he becomes that guy. And we know he has a special relationship with Ime Udoka. He has the respect for Ime Udoka. I'm looking at that relationship. It's a perfect match.
I like where you're at in Texas. I'm gonna say San Antonio. I think who wouldn't want to play alongside Victor Wembanyama, right? He's a great young player, up and coming. De'Aaron Fox, who pushes the pace. And this is a long time coming. I don't know if you guys know this, but almost 10 years ago, 9 years ago at this point, they tried to get Kevin Durant before he went to Golden State, and I was one of those players that they said they would have to trade. You know, I got the call from Pop, and I said, I understand. You know,
yeah, that's what it is.
Make this call, I understand. So this is a long time coming for him. It's a place close to UT where he went to college. I think this would be a great fit if he gets to play alongside De'Aaron Fox and Victor Wembanyama.
You wouldn't be available in the trade package this time around, but again, this is something over the next couple of months. We would have to keep an eye on Kevin Durant and if this is going to be his final chapter with the Phoenix Suns. Top 50 piece from Steph Curry. That is today's electric moment, brought to you by Hyundai. Steph Curry and the Golden State Warriors on the road facing Memphis. You know what they say, Perk? Revenge, it's best served cold and with a 50-piece.
That's what they say.
That's what we're saying here. Because Curry and the Warriors, they struggled the last time they took on Memphis. Steph would shoot 0 for 6 from beyond the arc. The Warriors lost by 51, the worst loss of the season for Golden State. That would not happen again, Kendrick.
And he remembered that. He remembered that. Steph had this game circled. He wanted to go back in that arena and put on a legendary performance. Damn it, he did just that.
It's the 37th time in his career he's made 5 or more three-pointers in a single quarter, the most in the play-by-play era. To the second we go, and he didn't stop, Danny.
Yeah, I don't know why he's open as he is. He's got 8.5.
Someone guard that man.
Man, at that point, it's like, what you do, face guard him when he cross half court?
He might go triangle too, Davidson days.
25, 5, and 5.5 for the second time in his career. Third quarter.
I love that action right there.
Oh, yeah, this is great.
That guard to guard pick and roll, then quick dribble handoff out of there with Draymond and Steph. Now this is, I'm telling you, this is deflating.
Ridiculous.
What do you do if you're a defender?
Not a whole lot.
Look at all this damn running.
You can't fall asleep. Can't fall asleep. He's moving at all times.
Here's Steph Curry on moving up the all-time scoring list.
You passed Jerry West tonight, all-time scoring list. What's that mean?
I got a little emotional about that, especially obviously, you know, in his memory and what he meant to our organization, to the league, to the world of basketball, to our organization when he worked here, and you know, my relationship with Johnny. And I got to talk to him after the game just to share a moment on what it meant for, you know, me, my family, you know, the entire West family. So that is special. Just understand what his career was, and that's the logo. So very special. I'll keep that ball and put it in a good place.
How awesome is that? Steph is now top 25 all-time. He passes the great Jerry West and now has 25,205 career points. Next on the list, Reggie Miller, just 74 points away. He reached this milestone against the Grizzlies, and Steph became just the second player ever to have a 50-10 game against the Grizzlies. Kobe Bryant, the only other player to do it. It was back in 2008 in his MVP season. And Steph scored 50 points for the 15th time in his career, passing LeBron James and Rick Barry to move into a tie for 6th most 50-point games in NBA history. So when the chef is flambeing, let's take a look at the creme brulee, the cream of the crop, the top of the top, running back the best curry flurries of his 16-year career. Number 5, just a few months ago in Orlando. All of these are on the road, by the way. Steph Curry, in just under 17 minutes, Perk dropped 35 in the second half in a win.
The joy of bringing him a bona fide second option. Jimmy just gave that man CPR, which is dangerous for the rest of the league.
Number 4, this was in 2016 on ESPN against John Wall, Bradley Beal, and the Wizards. 36 points in the first half for the chef. Listen to the shooting line, Danny. 13 of 14 from the field, 8 of 9 from 3, and the Dubs get the win.
Ooh, that's efficient, especially on the road. He must love quieting the crowd out there.
Ooh, happy Halloween 2015 in New Orleans. Steph put on a spooky performance.
In New Orleans.
First half of the Warriors win, 38 points, 13 of 19 from the floor. He was going up against AD, Drew Holiday, and Kendrick Perkins.
Really? Can I have front row seat to that game?
Number 2, Game 7 in SAC. This is 2023. He cooked the Kings.
Oh, yeah. Game 7?
Yep. 50-burger, which included 30 in the second half to advance to the second round.
That's when we heard about the legendary meeting, right? Don't get on the bus if you got doubt, when they was on their way to SAC.
Exactly.
I remember that.
Steve Kerr said that was sublime. And then this is the best one here. Scoreless first half in Game 6 of the Western Conference semis. He went off 33 in the second, including 23 in the fourth. Oh. And then after wrapping the series against the Rockets, Steph said, "I've heard a lot of noise this series. Let's just leave it down one." Anthony Edwards through traffic to put Minnesota of the year here. 6 straight wins for Minnesota over Denver. That goes back to last postseason. There's a chance we could see these teams meeting up, maybe even in the first round here, Perk. Who do you trust more in the postseason?
The Timberwolves. I trust Minnesota more. It's the others, right, around Jokic that I don't have faith in anymore, right? Murray, he's been up and down, although he didn't play last night. Michael Porter Jr., I don't know. He's halfway in, halfway out.
Aaron Gordon had a good night last night.
Huh?
Aaron Gordon had a good night.
He did, but it's not consistent. Mm-hmm. And my thing is, with Anthony Edwards, this team, the Minnesota Timberwolves, they got their identity back on the defensive side of things. So you know one thing about them, they're going to get stops. They got the personnel to do it. They finally found that I guess that niche where Julius Randle fits in, right? Is that the word, right? He's starting to fit in. And so I'm looking at Minnesota just because of their defensive prowess and the personnel. I get a slight edge to them that I trust them more than the Denver Nuggets.
I'm with Perk on this one, even though I saw a lot of mistakes last night. My gut would say I don't trust either one of them in the playoffs. But I would go with Minnesota more than Denver. There's too many mistakes outside of Jokic, those other players. It's hard to trust you make those mistakes down the stretch.
But outside of Jokic is a big one. Didn't we just say we're talking about Jokic as one of the best players ever?
But we have, and I'm glad you brought that up.
Team sport, you need
help.
Because
how many minutes did he play last night?
He did not sit after the first half.
Right, 52, 53, and I understand, right, he had a couple of games where he's been out. But I'm worried about Jokic. I'm worried about they rely on him so much offensively. He has to do so much to provide that great offense, to make guys around him better, to be able to put up big buckets. We saw it last year when Minnesota put them out. That was my first time ever seeing signs of Jokic having fatigue. And what I'm saying is, if these others don't really start picking it up, and here we are going into the postseason, I'm having worries that might happen again this postseason.
I give a lot of flowers to Aaron Gordon. He's been playing really well lately. Jamal Murray, we do need to see playoff Jamal Murray emerge, and Michael Porter Jr. Those are the two guys. If they come back to where we've seen them in the past, playing at that type of level, then I'll trust Denver more. But right now, they just have too many mistakes. They don't have enough depth, and Jokic doesn't have enough help to where I trust them in the playoffs.
In this game's OG Anunoby, he led the way with 27 points, his 5th straight game with 25 or more. They got the win without Karl Anthony Towns, who was out with a knee issue. Jalen Brunson, he missed his 13th straight with an ankle sprain. So here's Josh Hart after the game about facing Cleveland tonight, potentially shorthanded.
I don't know, we just got to go out there and compete. We got we're down. I don't know. No one knows what Cat's doing, but not sure if Mitch is going to play. Obviously, JB and Cam and them. Deuce, I don't think are going to be ready. And it's the second game of a back-to-back. So, we just got to go out there and compete. I think that's the biggest thing.
Now joining us, our senior reporter, Tim Bontemps, in front of a Kelly Bontemps original art piece there. Tim, let's talk a little bit more about the New York Knicks. What is the latest status of Cat and Brunson?
Well, appreciate the shout on the art, Malika. And as for the Knicks tonight, Jalen Brunson will be out again. As you mentioned, it'll be his 14th straight game sitting out since he suffered that ankle sprain out in Los Angeles against the Lakers back on March 6th. Now, Brunson spoke to the media Sunday before the Knicks beat the Blazers, and he said that he's feeling better. He's making progress on that sprained ankle. He obviously needs to play 4 more games in order to be eligible for end-of-season awards, be that getting on the back end of the MVP ballot or getting on the All-NBA ballot for a second year in a row. He said, though, that his focus is to be ready for the playoffs, which will start in a couple more weeks. We'll see if he can get out there over the next few regular season games for the playoffs. He will not play tonight in Cleveland, though, but who will be out there is Karl Towns, all but certainly. He's probable to play today after missing that game last night. Knicks did a little back and forth playing Mitchell Robinson, who is not playing both halves of a back-to-back. He played against the Sixers last night. He is out today, so he continues to ramp up for missing the first several months of the season. But Karl Towns, our all-star center, could make the All-NBA team. Also, he'll be out there against Jared Allen and Evan Mobley tonight. And as you said, tough task for the Knicks trying to beat the East-leading Cavaliers on the second night of a back-to-back. But they'll have a rested Karl Anthony Towns as they try to do it.
Yeah, a little bit easier with Karl Anthony Towns out there potentially. So that's tonight in the New York Knicks. Let's go a little bit bigger picture here, Tim, if we could, because 3 times a year you emulate the MVP voting, right? You take the temperature of 100 voters, and this morning you released the final straw poll. But it was compiled last night, right, before there was this explosion of Nikola Jokic. How many more performances is he going to need to have here as we take a look at the results to be able to remotely catch Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, according to voters?
Well, Malika, when you see as those results show that Shai has 77 first-place votes, you think, well, this thing is basically done, right? And I would say as of now, very likely MVP this season. However, these two guys split all 100 first and second place votes. So this really is a choice between one or the other. And it's a pretty close choice. There were several people who I talked to who said they were still not sure about how they were going to vote. And obviously this is not the exact same voting pool that's going to be conducting the vote in a couple weeks. This is just supposed to simulate what that group will look like. So we will see what happens over the next 10 days or so. Certainly if Nikola Jokic continues to have more games like that unbelievable performance he had last night against Minnesota, he's going to give himself an opportunity. And I would also say, Malika, on the other side, we're sitting here with the Oklahoma City Thunder going into this game tonight against Detroit. They still have a chance to win 70 games. I think it's safe to say if they win out and win 70 games, almost no matter what Nikola Jokic does, it's going to be very hard for Shai Gilgeous-Alexander not to win. So both guys still have a lot to play for. Right. But certainly, as of right now, I think Shai is a comfortable leader in the MVP race.
I know you've said that this is not an exact replica, but you have a great track record here with this. You've predicted everyone so far. So right now, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander in the lead. Tim Bontemps, thank you very much. You can see
Detroit basketball. The first team in NBA history to triple their win total from the previous season.
We won some games. We've had a good regular season so far, but that's not the goal. We're just getting started, man.
We put the effort into it, we'll be just fine. Great job, fellas. Together.
With a win and a Hawks loss, the Pistons, they can clinch a playoff spot for the first time since 2018-19. And this postseason, Detroit looks to win a playoff game for the first time, Perk, since you were a champion, since 2008.
Wow.
It's almost 20 years.
Hey, before we bounce, Carmelo Anthony set to be a Hall of Famer. Our Shams Charania reported today that Anthony will be inducted in Springfield in the fall, in addition to winning a national championship with Syracuse, Go Orange, in 2003, and